Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Global Box, your quick terror bulletin around the world on Adamimogo 105.1 Mokola IBADAN. Here are the top stories. Cleric calls for change of approach in fight against banditry in Nigeria. State of emergency declared in Baltimore as key bridge collapse. Israel scraps Washington meeting after vote on Gaza ceasefire. Thanks for joining us on Global Box. I am Victoria Owoyemi, and now the news in detail. As Nigeria continues to deal with insecurity, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kuka, has tasked the federal government not to leave any stone unturned in its fight against the menace. The bishop, who spoke at a forum in Rivers State, said one of the ways the federal government can intensify its fight against insecurity is to question persons who claim close ties with bandits, irrespective of their status. He also wants the federal government to be decisive in dealing with insecurity ravaging the northern regions of the country. His comments came about a day after 137 school children abducted in Kuriga, Kaduna State regained freedom from their captors. Away from Nigeria, South Africa's governing African National Congress, ANC, has suffered a big setback in a legal bid to stop a newly formed party backed by ex-President Jacob Zuma from running in May's general election. The Umkhonto We'Sizwe party takes its name from the new disbanded armed wing of the ANC. It is thought that Zuma's backing of the MK would affect the ANC support. The Electoral Court rejected the ANC's argument that the party had not met the official registration criteria. In the U.S., at least 20 people and several vehicles have fallen into the river when a bridge in the U.S. city of Baltimore collapsed into the Patapsco River. The city fire department said a large vessel hit a column of the Francis Quartz Key Bridge in the early hours of today. According to the Maryland Transportation Authority, MTA, all traffic is being deterred. The mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, commiserated with victims of the incident.
Pray for our first responders and thank them, all of them working together, city, state, local, to make sure that we are working through this tragedy. This is an ongoing active research that we're having right now. We're going to continue, as you heard from Chief Wallace, throughout. As long as we have to be doing that, we will do it. But we have to be thinking about the families and people impacted, folks who we have to try to find and save. This is what our focus should be on.
A structural engineer, Stadio Michelis, shares his thoughts on the incident.
So this is a very typical mode of failure, a ship collision on a bridge pylon causing excessive load, beyond the design load, the load that we use to design these bridges. And as a result of that, the pylon had collapsed, and the forces were redistributed in the structure. And of course, this continuous steel truss that we saw on the videos collapsed because it couldn't.
While a number of casualties have been reported, a large multi-agency rescue and recovery operation is now underway. Meanwhile, Governor Wes Moore has declared a state of emergency in Maryland following the collapse of the Francis Quartz Key Bridge. In a statement, the governor thanked those who have involved in carrying out efforts to rescue the casualties. Also, Fire Service Chief Spokes Jay Wallace said the service are intensifying rescue operation.
Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, as well as multiple local and state police agencies, National Resources Police, BPD Special Ops Unit is in here, Maryland State Police is here. We have multiple resources. We are still very much in an active search and rescue posture at this point, and we will continue to be for some time. We have a large area that we have to search. This includes on the surface of the water, subsurface, as well as on the deck of the ship itself. We believe it.
He added that the service will remain in close contact with federal, state and local entities as they continue to assess and respond to the tragedy. In a separate beat, U.S. government has charged 7 Chinese nationals with enacting a widespread cyber attack campaign. They are accused of ties to a hacking operation that ran for 14 years. According to the U.S. Justice Department, millions of Americans' online accounts have been caught up in a Chinese hacking plot that targeted U.S. officials, the Justice Department, and FBI on Monday. The U.S. State Department had announced a reward up to $10 million for information on the 7 men. Global Box is reaching you live from Adamimogo 105.1 IBADAN. Still to come on the news, Israel scraps Washington meeting after vote on Gaza ceasefire.
You are listening to Global Box on Adamimogo 105.1 FM IBADAN.
Glad to have you back. For inquiries, breaking news and more, please call or text the news desk on 0703 496 1615. And out to the rest of the news. Israel has cancelled a meeting in Washington after the U.S. declined to veto a UN Security Council resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. The resolution, which also called for the release of all hostages, followed several failed attempts at similar measures since the 7 October attacks. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had accused the U.S. of having abandoned its previous policy. Since the start of the conflict, the U.S. has used its veto power to block 3 Security Council resolutions calling for pauses in the fighting or a ceasefire. Another 2 have been vetoed by both Russia and China. In the meantime, an Australian man has been freed after spending more than 30 hours in an underground drain network. He was rescued after a passerby phoned authorities to report that someone was stuck underground. The 38-year-old told authorities he had entered the drain in Brisbane to retrieve his phone. Queensland police, however, said he hid there after his car crashed into one of the vehicles on Sunday. He's being treated for abrasions and hypothermia. In business, Japan's cabinet has approved the export of new fighter jets it is developing with the UK and Italy in the latest move away from its pacifist policies. It eased arms export rules to allow the jets to be sold to countries like Japan has signed defense pact with and where there is no ongoing conflict. According to authorities, each fighter jet sale will require cabinet approval. The jets are expected to be deployed by 2035. This is Tokyo's first defense equipment development partnership with a country other than the U.S. In talking sports, Flamengo and Brazil striker Gabriel Barbosa has been suspended for 2 years after attempted anti-doping fraud. Reports say the 27-year-old known as Gabigol, before his suspension, had made it difficult for authorities to carry out an anti-doping test on him. Barbosa, who has played 18 times for his country, has however denied the allegations. On entertainment, ace American musician and rapper Sean Combs is now being subjected to investigation by federal Homeland Security investigation agents and other law enforcement. This is coming after 2 properties belonging to music mogul Sean in Los Angeles and Miami were searched by law enforcement as part of an ongoing sex trafficking investigation by federal authorities in New York. Authorities were seen setting up police line and command post around the house of the coming home artist, with helicopters seen flying overhead as federal agents were seen entering and exiting the house. That's Global Box on Adamimogo 105.1 Ibadan. But before we go, the highlights again. We told you that as Nigeria continues to deal with insecurity, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kuka, has tasked the federal government not to leave any stone unturned in its fight against the menace. We told you that at least 20 people and several vehicles have fallen into the river when a bridge in the U.S. city of Baltimore collapsed into the Patapsco River. And finally, we told you that Israel has cancelled a meeting in Washington after the U.S. declined to veto a UN Security Council resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. That's Global Box. It was edited by Abimbola Ogunbadeniyi. I'm Victoria Owoyemi. Thank you for listening. Good afternoon.
Adamimogo 105.1 FM, the voice of the light.
Iconic Tunes Record. Ultimate. Yeah.